Welcome to Envision Radio from the United Way of Greater Charlottesville and City of Promise and News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM WNA. And brought to you by the Jefferson School Foundation with Marky and Price, coming to you in the studio from downtown Charlottesville. The heat wave has broke. It's rainy. We're in the studio. So it's a blessed day.
Is it raining today too?
Yeah, it was raining a little bit outside.
Is that right?
It was.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have thunderstorms. I heard Fifeville or wherever over there got hit with a microburst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost power.
A lot of people lost power.
Yeah.
There was broken trees and
Somebody said they didn't have power for like 3 days.
I don't know about that, but from the folks that I was talking to, it seems like a lot of folks lost power.
I didn't have power for an hour, and I was mad. It was 4th of July. I was at a cookout. We were inside, of course. It was storming.
Right.
And while we sit in the dark, burgers in the oven, we was like, we couldn't even get them out the oven because it was dark. I had my flashlight. I was like trying to get it with the flashlight. I was
my Lord.
This is not what God intended. like this ain't the freedom day they was speaking about to me.
Yeah, especially at the 250.
Yes.
That's right.
I said maybe it's something with that. Maybe it's karmatic. I don't know.
Is karmatic a word?
I just made karmatic up, but it sounds good.
Yeah, that does. I knew where you were going with it.
Karma.
Wouldn't it be karmatic?
Karmatic.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just got
Meaning karma was going to come and 250 seems like the year to do it.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, sure. I'm here. I'm here for it.
But today we are thrilled to be joined by Chacha
Mahiri. Yeah.
He is the Family Self-Sufficiency Program Coordinator at the Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority, where he helps residents build financial stability, achieve economic independence, and access opportunities that strengthen individuals, families, and community. With more than 13 years of experience in human services, juvenile justice, and community-based programs, he is passionate about expanding opportunity and empowering people to reach their full potential. But most excitingly for me, our next guest on this episode of Envision Radio.
Right on.
Yay! Thank you for coming to see us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Go. This is about you.
I've been hearing great things about you. In my opinion.
Don't lie.
People have been lying to you, sir.
So I'm happy to be here because it's a space that you have a lot of great leaders. So I'm wondering why I'm here.
People say that all the time. Well, then if you thought that, put your name on the great leader list. If you didn't know before, know today.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
You've unearthed an incredible amount of folks.
I'm about to get a grandma in here next week. Don't play. Right? Not next week, but a couple weeks from now.
Really?
You're gonna get one of the old ones. I hope she don't listen.
Wise.
One of the wise ones.
Wise.
Oh.
Yeah, grandma.
The wise ones to give us all our wisdom.
Yeah, no. She gonna come in here talking about back in my day.
Yeah.
We used to walk 7 miles to school or something like that. I'm like, okay, girl, they didn't have cars, so all you do is horse and buggy. However you get down there, get your education.
Yeah.
So talk a little about growing up in Africa, and tell us, just a little bit. I want to hear sort of the story of what that was like, how you got here, and we've talked to some other. I think who have we talked to? We've talked to Eze, we've talked to Tunji, we've talked to Ziki, we've talked to Toyosi. Yeah, we've talked to. So I like to sort of put together the tapestry of sort of stories from the continent and how you all. She went to London. He was playing basketball and But I'd love to hear more about coming up and how you made it here.
Yeah. So I was born in a small village in East Africa near the border of Kenya and Tanzania, and I grew up on a farm. So I grew up around animals, living off the land. It's funny you were talking about walking to school bare feet. That was my experience. So we used to walk about an hour. We go into school in the morning, walk back to lunch, walk back
for lunch.
You went back for lunch?
Yeah. So when you hear those Kenyan runners, there's a reason why.
It's just built into it.
They were doing 4 hours of walking a day.
I'm gonna be late. I gotta hustle.
Yeah. So then in my late teens, my dad kind of decided that he was seeking prosperity because a lot of African countries were still under that colonial mindset. Our governments are still, not doing the best to make sure that our citizens are empowered, that people can really thrive and do what they need to do. So through that, my dad was basically like, hey, I got 5 kids. I need them to go to school. So education was important. So he's like, he gave up everything he had. He was a lecturer at a university in Kenya, so he decided, I'm going to risk it all, go abroad, and see what I can do. So he moved to the States, and then about 2 years later, he was able to bring me and my sister over here. So I kind of came in my late teens, finished my last year of high school here, and then, I'm just cruising by. So that's how I ended up, in the U.S., and then I actually live in Harrisonburg, so I commute into Charlottesville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so those humble beginnings of having nothing and then being able to see the dream that my dad had and to being where I am really kind of humbles me and grounds me in the work that I'm doing at the moment.
Where was his first plug-in? Where did he go when he came to the States?
So he was actually plugged in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York.
So middle of nowhere, sir,
Middle
is
of
where
nowhere.
I'm from. It's Albany, New York.
He said he don't got no real stars.
Yeah, close to that.
Yeah.
It was a small town called Canton.
Yeah,
New
yeah,
York.
sure. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
about 2 hours away from Canada.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
pass Syracuse,
Rochester. And
all the way over there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So what have you talked to him about that? Did you ever talk to him about that experience? Because again, I mean, obviously culture shock,
Right.
but I mean,
Yeah.
not for nothing,
Yeah.
huge climate shock.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
especially in New York,
Talk
upstate.
about that. My first experience getting off
You
the
had to go get you a
plane.
coat.
Yeah.
And guess what? I came in Christmas Eve
Yeah.
2002.
It's probably one of them winter storm years.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
negative 3 degrees.
We're
Yeah.
talking about Syracuse.
Yeah,
Syracuse,
sure.
New York. So I'm getting off the plane, and I had I remember I had light pants and a light jacket, but that wind hit my face. I felt like it was some
They
of the
was beating
samurai
you.
sword just smashing my face.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was insane. It was insane. And then North Country up there, like you have winter from October all the way through April.
Yeah.
6 feet of snow. So when we talk about winter here, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
not-
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where you came. So you came and met him in New York.
Yeah.
And then what happened? How'd you make it south? What brought you to Charlottesville?
The winter.
Just chasing the
was
sun
escaping
down
the
south.
cold.
Yeah.
He said, I can't get samurai
Yeah.
slapped by the wind no
Oh, yeah.
more.
Forget
I
it.
was escaping the code. So I ended up going to school in D.C.
Okay.
And then when I was finishing college, I was like, what am I going to do with life? So I ended up becoming a teaching assistant at JMU.
Oh,
I was
cool.
teaching
Ah.
Swahili. Swahili is one of the languages that I speak. So then, you know how it is, I met my partner there, and I've been down here ever since.
Where did you go to school at?
I went to community college in D.C.
Okay.
It's called UDC, University of District
yeah.
Columbia.
Yeah.
So shout out to all the community colleges.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're doing important work as well in educating young people and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
awesome. Do we have an ad break now?
Yeah.
Is that what you were looking at me for? If you are just tapping in, this is Envision Radio from the United Way of Greater Charlottesville and City Promise News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM WNA. Price and Markey here with Chacha, Mahiri. Big thanks to our friends, to our sponsor. They're still a sponsor, right?
Yeah.
Jefferson School Foundation. It's jeffersonschoolfoundation.org. I don't know. Nobody updates me, but like Kim's happy with it. So we're going to keep saying they're great. They're awesome. They're doing incredible work. Check them out, jeffersonschoolfoundation.org. So, okay, cool. So you come what was that transition like outside of all the obvious stuff,
Yeah.
but just like in that time of life, what was the plan before your dad left? Like what, right? Like were you going to go to school in Africa? Were you guys you and your sister trying to leave anyway? Kind of what does that inflection point look like at 16, 17, 18?
So I think for me, from a very early age, as a kid, I knew that education was kind of like the way to go because you see how there's poverty porn that is really blown up in a big picture with all these NGOs, that are across Africa and doing that. So for me, from an early age, because my dad had gone to college, and so we kind of knew the path is like, hey, school is the only way that you're going to get out of where you are from. So even then, I was in secondary school or high school, so the goal was eventually maybe I'm going to go to college and pursue other things. So then when my dad realized that, because also the reason why he actually migrated is the fact that here education is free. So all the way through high school, education is free. But in most of African countries, because they're off the old, colonial system of education, so you actually pay to go to high school, kind of like the way you're paying going to college. So my dad is looking at it like, I got 4 kids, 5 kids, 2 years back to back. It's like, how am I going to afford this? So he's like, I'm going to seek opportunity. So he came over here so that he could afford to send us to school. But then when the opportunity presented itself, like he could, bring my sister and I over here, it's like, all right, you guys come on over. So I was able to kind of continue high school for free and then worry about how to go to college later.
You said it was you and your sister. Did your other 3 siblings eventually come over?
No, they actually stayed. So,
You told them about the winter, and that's why they said that.
Yeah, they said we're plugging in New York. They're like, "No, I'm good."
that code was too extreme. We're like, nah, we're gonna stay.
How did you transition from teaching Swahili at, you said JMU, to social services?
So the funny thing is, I actually went to school I was writing and doing digital media. So I was one of those dreamers that I was going to be an artist and stuff like
we
that.
need dreamers.
That's right.
So dreams are valid. So I went to school, but then also with my immigration status, because I came here under my dad. I was under his sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
So at a certain age, once you turn, I think it was 20 or something else, I needed to be under my own immigration status for me to be able to go to school and for me to pursue opportunities.
Okay.
So when I finished college, I was like, okay, opportunities are limited. So what am I going to do? So the first thing that presented itself was like, I can teach here, I can do that. So I was like, you know what, I need to survive. So I did whatever I had to do to survive. And then eventually, came into human services and, working with folks in juvenile justice and then in social services and then now in housing.
How was it transitioning to social services? Like, I feel like that's a field that you don't get into unless you love the people, love the work, want to make sure people are successful.
So I think when I was in that transition period of trying to survive and get a job, I ended up working in juvenile justice, which I started as a youth services worker, kind of working with youth.
Okay.
And then as essentially through that process is where my passion for community work came in, because I'm working with these young kids, and what I realized is like all they need is access to opportunities, access to resources, and the importance of having positive role models, especially for our young Black men. So through that experience, I was like, okay, so maybe this is something that I can definitely do. So working with juvenile justice, I ended up growing within the organization. I became a case manager, and then from there, by the time I was transitioning from there, I was a program manager managing a community placement program for youth that were in a court system. So instead of sending them to big juvenile correctional centers, we had in-houses services for education, treatment services, therapy to kind of help them build themselves up and give them a second chance, so that when they go back in the community, they don't go back and make the same mistakes that put them back in the system. So that is how I came into case management, and then I was like, okay, I transitioned into social services. And then as I'm growing, I'm like, I want to continue community work and make a difference in the community. So that's how it's kind of funny from communication and digital media arts writing to, but I think the connective tissue is storytelling. The ability to build relationship with people and, connect to the stories that people have.
Do you find yourself still writing?
I still do. On the side, I do YouTube.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I'm curious, and that is a deviation from this current story. But what? How much did you Americanize your name when you got here?
So actually, I think I did the opposite.
Really?
Because my Christian name is Benjamin or Ben.
Yeah.
But what happened is when I arrived here, my names were correct on my passport, but the stamping officer at immigration messed up my names. So he just took my first name and my last name and put that on the paperwork.
Okay.
So by the time I was becoming a citizen and getting all my stuff right within America, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to be Chacha Mahiri. So I kind of did away with the English name, because that they had already done that for me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be Chacha, and that's it.
True.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So no one has called you Benjamin?
Oh, my mom and something.
Oh, you're
yeah.
Right. You can tell when people met you by what they yell after you, right?
Yeah.
Most of my friends, when I first came over here, knew me as Ben. So then it's like...
Interesting.
And then it's like, who is Chacha?
Yeah. That's right. Right. Yeah. That's so funny. I was talking to someone about that, and and you know better than I do, right? The stories of just like, the importance of that and bringing your culture with you when you come to a different place, right? How have you found that? Because we use the word assimilation all the time as if it's like the goal of the thing. How do you find your way through that, right? As someone who's obviously multidimensional, but has a long legacy that didn't start here, right? Is that, do you enjoy it? Do you celebrate it? Is it annoying? Is it?
Yeah, I think one thing I can say about that, because, I came as a youth, in my 18, 19 there and trying to assimilate. And I think the biggest struggle, is the fact I was in the middle of nowhere. all white people everywhere, the only black kid in the school, maybe one or two. So I remember the time my accent was very thick and very heavy. So I was quickly, everything I say is like, what did you say again?
Mm-hmm.
So that repetition over and over again. So then I had to quickly say, I need to kind of pronounce things in American. I still have my accent, but it's like I still have to pronounce things in a certain way so that I can articulate myself and people hear me and then get away from being asked, what are you saying? What are you saying? Mm-hmm. But then when I was doing that, what I quickly realized is I was starting to sound more American.
Sure.
And I realized that I was going to lose my identity.
Yeah, sure.
So part of why you're asking about the name, and why I've been here 20-some years and I still have an African accent is because I feel like that's part of my identity. Because if I just lose my identity, then I feel like I'm going to lose who I am at the core being of, what I believe in. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, you can't just be Ben from Rochester. That's not a cool story.
Plus, when I say my name is Chacha, like the Chacha slide, people are like, oh, yeah.
People get it.
Yeah, people get it. So, yeah.
I'm thinking about how because I thought that when you do accents, the time spent, you're slowly changing. Like, it'd be hard to, you have to be intentional about keeping an accent because you're starting to meld with people around you.
But it's the same thing as black folks. We code switch all the time, depending on what crowd you is. For instance, like I speak 3 languages and I'm learning Spanish as a 4th.
Oh.
But a lot of times because people assume that when someone has an accent or especially it's very thick, that they're not intelligent. But like you break that stereotype of like, remember when you're talking to somebody, they have to kind of translate into whatever language you're saying and then say it back in a language that you understand.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's very unique in that way. But, I'm fascinated by languages and stuff like that.
I'm fascinated by accents.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, people told me, not growing up, everybody had the same accent. When I got to college at UVA, everybody's like, you have such a thick accent. I'm like, what are you have an accent. You from up north. I mean, I hear your accent. So it's like, but now I hear it. But I do think sometimes that I'm like, dang, I need to fix that. I need to be, my accent is too thick there.
I think it's an American thing, though. I think we get caught up too much on accents.
Yeah, we do.
Where people are from. I think it's an American thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ascribe a lot of value to dialect, right? And I think that so let me ask you this, is that not the case where you're from? Because I know it's the case, in other even European places I've been, people are like, oh, they're from the north. Oh, they're from, right? It's like the same, and I don't hear it because I can't tell the difference. Like in England, I can tell the difference between like Birmingham and the coast or whatever. Like I don't know the difference, but they do in the same way that you can put someone in front. I can tell you that Kentucky and Louisiana are different. And I can tell you that South Carolina and Ohio are different, right? But we ascribe value to those things.
I think it's the same everywhere. Like I can tell. Like, I can meet someone from the continent and like, oh, I know where you're from.
Sure.
Depending on how they pronounce words. Because let's say I'm from Kenya. Kenyans have a specific way of how they pronounce things, how they say. Or someone from Nigeria, they have a very distinct way.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like it's human nature. That's just how, things are. Like, like we kind of tend to identify like, oh, you're from there. Like, for instance, one of the things about people from Kenya, like we always wear a bracelet.
Yeah.
So like he has a Kenyan flag. So if I meet someone else with that, I know where they from.
And if you don't have a bracelet,
here. You are not like
you
are not
ain't
like
repping
us.
your set. How you
that's
supposed
right.
I'm repping both.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you are just joining us, this is Envision Radio from the United Way of Greater Charlottesville and City of Promise. News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM WINA. Price and Markey here with Chacha, Mahiri in the studio. Big thanks to our sponsors, the Jefferson School Foundation. That is jeffersonschoolfoundation.org. Reimagined, redefined, refueled for the future. How has your life experience, how does it affect your work? And I'm asking this in the context of, Americans are not a well-traveled people generally, right? And I think humans are myopic by nature, but I think, again, we as Americans are sort of probably doubly so, right? Like the world definitely revolves around us. We're just shocked that, like, anything else ever exists, right? And, if you don't have a depth of experience where you've been out of the country, if you've lived in other places or you've met other people, you can, it can feel very insular, right? And so even this World Cup thing, people are like, oh my God, I didn't know Norway has the 4th largest sovereign wealth fund in the world and they have a ton of oil.
That's right.
Cool. People are like, cool, right? So, but you had this experience, right? You spent a ton of time in other places, spent a ton of time in other parts of the world. Does that change the way you look at your work locally?
I think it does. And I think for me, I have to go back to from my humble beginnings of growing up in a small village in Africa. And then like looking at some of my role models like Nelson Mandela and the artist, the hip hop artist, Lauryn
Lauren
Hill.
Hill. She was just at the BET Awards too.
Was she really?
And
Yeah, she came on stage. You know she don't like to come on
I was
stage.
just about to say, did she really?
She did.
With the daughter,
Wow.
with the daughter, right?
Both the daughter and the son too.
Oh, the son was there too.
Wow.
But I
Okay.
think the special thing about that, they gave her flowers. Finally.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Well, I mean, as they say,
Yeah.
she only got one major album in 30 years.
But guess what?
It's it. No, I love the miseducation.
You can't touch the
Listen,
miseducation.
one time-
No, I love the miseducation. Don't you get it twisted. I love the miseducation.
Yeah.
But I think it is something to say that, like, okay, everybody was out here working. You was like, I don't got to work because I already did the best I could. It's my masterpiece. I'm not making two Picassos.
Yeah.
You know, but you know.
I think that's also like the cost of that, like you see people like Jimi Hendrix or big artists like. I think Lauryn Hill, I don't think she struggled to find that second, fire. I think like she was just in that contentment state of like she was okay where she's at. But what I was going to say is that one of the things between time my childhood and my life experiences with Nelson Mandela and Lauryn Hill, I think Lauryn Hill, or one say that in all her travels across the world, one thing that she came to understand is that what differentiates one child who is born either in Manhattan or a village in Kenya is access.
Absolutely.
Access to opportunity, access to resources, access to education, and access to love. So that goes to show you that talent enough can get you where you want to be at.
Right.
But when those doors are open, those access is what what helps you there. So that kind of informs me in the line of work that I do. It kind of informs me in terms of knowing that everyone needs a chance. Everyone needs a chance. And also sometimes when you're trying to be a leader, you have to build access for people. So like in FSS, what I've come to understand is that my job is not to save the people. It's really to remove the barriers that are in their way and let them continue to see their own power and grow and do it for themselves.
When you talk about removing barriers, what are some of the biggest barriers you've seen for people in Charlottesville to access, to getting ahead or things like that?
Well, I mean, top of my head, we have to be real. Like childcare is one of the biggest.
United Way is focused on childcare. We're trying to open some centers. We're trying to do that thing.
You better hurry up.
I don't know about that. I don't know about hurry up.
Got me out here.
You gotta find the money. You gotta find the friends
and stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's also like childcare. Is a lot of single parents or a lot of working professionals. They're struggling. They're caught out between either they have to work to pay for childcare or if they have to stay at home and take care of their kids.
Right.
On top of that, you have transportation. Transportation is a big need. People that are looking to work, all the places that they're getting jobs don't have transportation. People can't afford Uber rides. People can't afford Lyft rides. And also, if you're working a late shift, you're not guaranteed that you're going to have a bus that's going to take you home. So, plus on top of that, there's just a lot of myriad challenges that we deal with when it comes to barriers. Also, people that hit that benefits cliff. Let's say.
That's what I always say.
Yeah, because I have a lot of folks that I work with that are scared, like, hey.
If I make an extra 50 cents, they're going to kick me out of my housing.
They're going to take my SNAP benefits.
Yeah,
they're going to take out my Medicaid.
It's not worth it.
So a lot of folks are like, why I got to do that? So a lot of that also kind of, puts people back. And also there's a lot of distrust in the systems that have been there because as you and I know, they haven't been always fair to, to people, people of color.
Right.
Yeah.
That, so how optimistic are you? I mean, I think
that laugh makes it seem like you're not optimistic.
Well, so here's, I think what I've learned in my time is that you can't out-program bad policy. Right. And so when we think about all the work that all these organizations are doing, right, and three of them are represented in this room, you could make the argument that not a lot has changed. And that's not, I'd argue that both is and isn't the fault of any of the three of us, but we are part of the thing that is trying and really not succeeding too heavily at changing the thing. Now, you might also argue that because the architecture of the system is so sort of tightly entwined, you can't really out-program the fact that there's just not the right economic fuel in the engine to make the thing go, right? So if we talk about like what we're working on with FSS and a lot we talk about financial stability,
right?
And it should probably be said loud that like he and I work in the same space. We work with some of the same people, but sometimes we go, well, it's just a financial literacy argument, and they're going, hey, my guy, I don't have the finances with which to be literate.
I do. I have a problem with
what are we doing? And so we've created the system where we're like, well, if all these people didn't just spend themselves poor, but really what the system is saying, I'm going to give you $40,000 a year. I'm going to charge you 15 to 20 of it for childcare. Right.
15 to 20 for
15 to 20
unreliable vehicle
to live somewhere, and then here's your $50.
Yeah.
Go invest it. Look, Zuckerberg. Right. So I just wonder, like, your point of view. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Or how do we at least start to make progress on what I would argue is, like, there's little things, right? But it seems like you're just pushing the rock up the hill. Then you get to a point and it rolls back down. Oop, SNAP benefits are gone. Cool, good, right?
Yeah.
How do you sort of exist in that space that, I read you as like a hopeful guy, as someone who's sort of naturally optimistic.
I see that.
Right? But, is that true, and does that last?
So I think we have to take into account the systems that have come before. I mean, for instance, in Charlottesville, we have the history of Vinegar Hill. We have to look across this country from slavery to Jim Crow to the school to prison pipeline, and to the crack epidemic, to all the systems that have been put in place, kind of like to hold some people back. So we have to take into consideration some of those things that have come before us and realize that when we're providing second chances, when we're talking about even, I don't want to say the R word, reparations and stuff like that, it's really about providing access to the community. Because the history of redlining, we'll have to talk about the black communities that were touched in Tulsa, all that. And you had thriving black communities that were, doing their own thing. When we talk about black progress, we have to also acknowledge the current EMT system of the ambulance system was developed in Philly by but out of the need for black folks having to go to the back of the line to get medical services. So all these systems are designed, but what is happening is that, for instance, in Charlottesville, we have, I believe, over 300 different nonprofits.
Oh no! I always say we gotta have the MERS per capita. I gotta start looking up these stats.
I mean, I know we did for a while. There's a ton.
How many people got more than us?
Yeah,
I would be hard pressed to believe anybody.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's all a numbers game, and systems are not communicating.
Oh yes,
sure.
We talk about that daily, about how people collaborate.
Yeah.
Maybe the system is built for us to collaborate. It's competition for funding. It's
that. I wonder.
We can't work together if one of us got to get the check and one of us don't.
I think so. I think that's it's an interesting argument. Like the one of the most basic tenets of human psychology is just people respond to incentives, right? So if the incentive is that I need to fund my thing, I'm not calling you. Right? Right? But you have to sort of there has to be an opportunity. And so, I mean, we talk about this a lot too on the funder side of we have to think about an architecture that encourages like-minded people to be rewarded for doing things together.
Right.
The idea that you don't come to me with a grant proposal if you don't got two other people ready to put in the work with you.
Yeah. But also, I think when we talk about that is also having a conversation with the people, with the communities, what do they really need? Because a lot of these organizations, they're getting the funds, they're getting the money, and they're saying they're doing the work, they're getting the numbers. But are you actually having conversations with the people in the community? What do they really need? Because you were even talking about financial education, talking about all this. There's no way that I'm going to go and talk to you about, hey, you need to stop budgeting, you need to do ABCD. If you're worried about how you're going to feed your kids,
right.
If you're worried about how you're going to pay your electricity, if you're worried about your rent, if you're facing an eviction and stuff like that. So it's really being intentional in the fact that we got to meet people where they're at. What do they really need? And that distribution and asset building has to be really informed in what's really needed in the community.
Yeah, that's why the idea of financial literacy training is so interesting.
You got that right.
It's so interesting because there is a saying, "Make $1 out of 15 cents." That is from the most economically disempowered people making bread that costs $5, working it into 2 cents so they can feed their families, stretching it out. I feel like the most financially literate people in this country are those who are most economically disadvantaged. You can't financial literacy training into turning my $50 into my rent. Would you please don't buy that mocha coffee latte?
Go ahead. Girl, go ahead.
You can't see what we done with a gallon of milk. You can't see what we done with a plastic bag from Food Line that we using as a trash bag. We are as financially literate as you can get.
It's the same idea when we talk about soul food. Where did soul food come from?
Yeah.
We're
Soul?
yeah, but we're talking about chitlins. We're talking about
Like the leftovers.
We're talking
When
about
people say chitlins, you
leftovers.
can't say chitlins 3 times because it's a ghost of chitlin to come up in here.
Is that what that is?
You start.
Candyman, right? So it's like we gotta also pay attention into that. It's like, how did soul food get created? We out of scraps.
Out of necessity.
Out of necessity, because you're giving the scraps off the table, out of the boss's table, and then you're turning that into gold. But at the same time, it's like, is that healthy for us?
Yeah. Yeah, and the whole financial the financial literacy conversation is interesting, and
That's
I think
what I said. Interesting.
Well, and because I think it sits squarely in this complicated space of like 2 things can be true.
Yeah, I
Multiple
agree. That's
things
why I
can
say.
be true.
That's why I say interesting. And not
But
necessarily bad.
I agree with your point that we lead with it from, I think, what is a hyper.
It's like shame.
Well, I think it's this hyper-American view that everybody who's wealthy did it because
They're
it's their
smart,
fault, right? We
bootstraps.
love this idea of American exceptionalism, and I think as Americans we love this idea of individualism, right?
Absolutely.
Like I have total agency over my thing. If I'm rich, I did it. If and then we go, if I'm rich, I did it. If you're poor, you did it.
You did it.
Right?
But even if you're rich, you did it. You didn't do it by yourself.
Oh,
Well,
no, God, no, you didn't. But
it's
I think the
it's
point
so
is that
easy
they
to
think
forget
they
all the
think they
parts
did,
that
and you
went
can
exactly
think you do.
right.
Exactly. But also, I think what I also have to add with the conversation about financial literacy is that one thing I realized even in my personal life is like, when we talk about money, you first have to go back, like, how was money handled in your household?
100%.
How did your
Yes.
mom and dad handle money?
What is your relationship to it? Yeah.
And what is your relationship with money right now in your own, everything you do in your job, whatever? And how are you teaching that to the next generation, to your kids?
Mm-hmm.
So, because we all know that schools don't teach us financial literacy unless you're well off and you're going to places where you're learning about how money works.
That's right.
Like we have a generation of kids, excuse me, young man, that don't know how to write a check. Don't
Sure.
know how to
Do y'all know how to
write
write? We got the interns in the studio too. Y'all know how to write a check? Okay,
Wow.
well, y'all, I have
All
written
right,
a
that's
check,
good.
but I haven't written a check in a long time.
Have you? Yeah. Lord.
I do. So when people say they need a check, I go down to the bank and get a money order.
Really?
I swear. I don't remember. Like I said, I think I've only written 1 or 2 checks my whole 29, 30 years. Yeah, so every time somebody says check to me, please don't say check to me. Say money order to the bank.
Yeah.
I say, can you go?
No
'cause
kidding.
This is a cashier check. Please, can you put the name of the company, this much money, and take it right out the account, please?
No way.
And I mail it.
Yeah.
So I'm not no
way.
check writer.
Wow.
They're better than me. The kids will be all right because they can write a check.
Yeah, but
What you
also,
need a check for?
Yeah, and tying into that individualism, like in America, we believe everything is for us. It's all
sure.
about me, me, and me. And so also that is, I think, for me, kind of like grounds me in when I was growing up in Kenya. When they really say that it takes a village to raise a child, they're not kidding.
They're not kidding.
They're not kidding, because I remember going to school. If I mess up at school, before I got home, before I got a whooping, the neighbor, my auntie, my uncle would have already gotten, scolded me, done something to me. By the time I get home, my mom is looking at me like, okay, I think you learned your lesson already.
Yeah.
So I think that same sense of community is kind of like an informal safety net that, we don't have anymore.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to start at building. We need to have nonprofits that are building villages.
Yeah.
The village. That's what we need. Okay, housing, food, transportation, childcare. No, help people with their village.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what that translates into, especially in the line of work that we do, we talk about all the organizations in this community are kind of like siloed. Everybody's doing their own thing.
So niche.
It's about communicating and working together in unison. And because one of the things that I really pride ourselves in is doing wraparound services.
Yeah.
And doing warm, soft handoffs with the clients that we work with. So instead of someone needing rental assistance, I'm like, here's a number, call them. We build those relationships where I can just pick up a phone and call, say, hey, Mikey, I got this and that. This client needs this and that. What do you got? And I can directly connect them with you. They have this conversation, and they either, yes, I can help you, or no, I can't help you. So building those systems that communicate with each other and building those positive relationships is how we can change some of those silos that are already existing in a community.
What do you say to people who want to help their community but don't know where to start?
That's a good question.
Do something.
Start.
Do something.
That's a good question, and I think it starts with proximity. It starts with proximity, not a savior mentality. Like instead of say, trying to I'm going to build something up. You just show up where something is already existing. Whether we're talking about financial literacy, whether we're talking about tutoring or mentoring young people, just go where something is already getting done instead of working to duplicate. And like I said before, listening to residents fast before designing a solution for them. And the most effective community work, I think, is Martez Tolbert always says, community work is the best work.
I could have finished that. Yeah, that is so.
So the most effective community work starts with what people say they need, not what organization assume they need. So talk to the people on the ground. And at the same time, being very practical with tangible points, like whether you're a landlord, be open to accepting housing vouchers for folks, because we all know that housing is a human right, and everybody needs, need housing. Those employers providing second chances to those people that are coming back into the community reentry, and also joining forces and working together. I think it's the way to go. To try to change that mindset in the community.
Do you have an example of a time where an organization, or maybe you were a part of it, thought they knew what residents needed, and then you went and talked to them and was like, oops, we made a playground, but y'all didn't need a playground, y'all needed X, Y, and Z. I feel like the story I always tell is like kids weren't going to school, and so they thought that they needed more buses, and found out that it wasn't the buses. There was an overpopulation of cats and dogs that were making it dangerous for kids to stay at the bus stop. So that's why it wasn't going to school. And the people said, hey, we sent 10 more buses to your area and kids still ain't going. It was like, it wasn't the buses. It was because we have a dangerous amount of cats and dogs roaming around. So we needed help with the cats and dogs, but y'all bought buses. Y'all done bought 10. I love that. It was a story. I don't know if it's a real story. Someone told me this story. It was an example of how if we don't go and talk to people and meet them where they are, we actually don't know what they need because we think they know what they need. And I love that story because not you bought 2, but 3 buses and they still won't come because you never took the opportunity to sit down and say, what do you all need? How can we get kids to school, for example?
No, I think
an exterminator. What happened?
I think for me, it's maybe with employment services, is like some of the agencies that they want to come and talk to residents about, hey, we want to hire you, but also they're not looking into the fact that somebody have a barrier. Like if you have maybe a charge or something that is holding you from getting that job. So that's actually does more harm than actually helping folks. So I don't want to drop any names, but there are too many examples that I can think of.
If you are just hopping in, this is Envision Radio from the United Way of Greater Charlottesville and City of Promise News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM WINA. Price, Markey, Chacha, formerly known as the artist formerly known as Ben Mahiri, here in Charlottesville, enjoying some lighter weather. Big thanks to our sponsor, the Jefferson School Foundation. So talk a little about the program itself. Talk a little about FSS and what it is. What it was born of, and sort of how it fits into the broader constellation.
Yeah, so that's good that you brought that up. So FSS is the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. So it's an initiative with CRHA, the Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority, with HUD, where the program is it's a work and savings program that it's kind of working to help residents who are receiving housing subsidies to build assets and wealth. So the way that the program works is that if anyone who has a CRHA housing choice voucher or a Section 8 voucher, or lives in public housing or has a project-based rental assistance voucher is eligible for the program. So if you're interested and you're already housed and living in a unit, all you need to do is just reach out, meet with me, and then we kind of talk about what does self-sufficiency or economic independence look for you. Maybe you're looking for a job. Maybe you already have a job and you're trying to get that promotion, or maybe you are looking for training or going back to school to improve and get to where you want to be at. So we set those goals in place with the program being up to 5 years, or it can be extended, or it can be less than that, depending on how quickly you want to get your goals accomplished. So the goal is as your income increases, because housing assistance is based on income. So as your income increases and your rent goes up, in normal cases, you'd say if your rent didn't go up, you'd be able to save that money. But since it's going up and you don't have that cushion to save it, FSS comes in and says, hey, we're going to help save that difference. So for example, if let's say someone is paying $500 in rent, that's just a hypothetical example, and then the income increases, the rent goes to $700. That difference of $200 is what we start to save for them monthly.
Oh, cool.
As long as they're meeting their obligations, paying their rent, and working towards their goals, they can build up those savings. And once they have accomplished those goals and met the program requirements, they're able to take that money tax-free, put that towards a business, purchasing a vehicle, or becoming a homeowner. And I can give a perfect example. We just had our very first FSS graduate in March of this year. Yeah, thanks. And they graduated close to $6,000 that they were able to take. And they were able to use that money to help their kid go to college, the very first one in our family.
Wow.
And I can even say I have a client who has been in the program for 2 years, and they're saving because their income is increasing, the family is working, and they have close to $15K in their savings account. So it really goes to show you that if you use the program, do the work, push yourself, then you're going to be able to tap into the program and achieve what you set out to do.
Before you get there, I want to get your take on something and understanding that like it's a really powerful program, and we've got, there's some people that we share and I think it's great. Let me ask you this, and just go with me here for a second.
Okay.
That's never good.
Don't do
That's not
that.
good.
So I think this is a good example of what we were talking about earlier. And so this whole theory of as you increase your income, your rent increases, right? Talk to me about that in the context of the program. So the program is a response to that, right? It's a clever response, but to what I would argue that the root of the problem is that theory. Because if I win the lottery today, Wells Fargo gets no more of my money. My mortgage is what it is for the next 20 years until I pay it off or I get whacked, right? So this theory that we have people in the situation where you never can really get over the hump because I'm going to tax you every time you do better.
Right.
Like, are we arguing that that's just we can't attack that? Are we just saying we can't even get to the level of touching that because that exists up here, and so we have to play the game at a different level?
Right.
Or is the work for you sort of a scalability argument that we'll get there, we just can't get there yet?
I guess in some ways, I think that's a very deep question that you're asking there. I think in the grand scheme of things, the way I kind of see it, the way FSS is set up, I think it's supposed to be a step up stone of kind of helping you build to get to there. Because as we know, when we talk about housing is just one need. Even if you give someone housing, they still have to worry about how they're going to get their groceries. They're going to worry about how they're going to get around and stuff like that. So the way that the program is built up is like, hey, if your income is increasing and you don't have that cushion to save, at least you know that this part of the money is going to a savings account that's going to help you in the long run. So that also is an incentive that is pushing you to I'm going to work harder, because the more income that you're earning, the savings go up. But I think it's a deeper, because the government did research and they basically realized that for a single family, a single mom working 2 jobs or doing whatever it takes, with the right resources, the right support, it's going to take you about 5 years to get to where you want to be at. So FSS comes in here I become your personal cheerleader. Let's say if your rent is going up and you can't afford your utilities, what organization is there in a community that we can find to help you, not just because you're paying rent, so that you don't lose electricity. So it's how do we balance with the supportive services that are going to help you to keep growing, instead of taking one step forward and then feel like you're taking 2 back.
Yeah, no, I think the program's great, and I want to be very clear about that. I guess the bigger question is just let them keep the money. Right? You get a raise.
For the rent.
Yeah, just let them keep the money. Doesn't that solve the problem, right? If we say, hey, your rent's $500 and then you get a raise and we go, oh, now your rate's $900. Just let them keep it. Just keep the money.
But that goes to the whole concept of these trillionaires that are talking about universal income.
Yeah.
What happens, because they're doing experiments in a lot of, in Kenya, they have done an experiment.
I read about that. That's right. Yeah.
So it shows you that model can work.
Universal basic income.
Universal. Yeah, I was saying how.
I don't know if it's the same one, but the study, because there's all this talk about there's, we still have a little bit.
Outcome, essentially.
Yeah, but we still have a little bit of welfare queen for they're just gonna and it turned out that
steps are because of the idea that we can convince you that a person making $2 needs help,
right?
But a person $4.
That's right.
We can't get behind that.
Right.
So I think it's
but the
socialization of what we believe who deserves
Who
help.
deserves help?
Who deserves help.
But the kidney experiment, like a lot of people, like fixed their roofs or bought cars or bikes or like they put it towards pro-social things, right? And so everyone's kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Like, but it is to your point a little bit about the self-determination of that. Like, we have to decide as sort of a nonprofit complex of people who are sort of educated and well-meaning. Where do we tap in, and how do we allow people to dictate what they need?
Right.
And so that the UBI is sort of the biggest example of that, of just like letting people decide what they need, right? We have the resource. You get to figure out what you want to do with it, right? Because for you it might be a car, and for you it might be a hot water heater, and one of them might want an electric scooter. But I think the point is that it doesn't matter. And I think some of the release of the paternalism that comes with the process can be helpful. But instead of doing that, we go, well, we're going to tax you, and then we're going to help you figure it out. Instead of being like, no, just keep the money and do whatever you need to do with it.
And I think that also is the same thing, like in this line of work, is that we allow the folks that we work with to be experts in their own life because they have
there you go. I like that.
Expertise.
I like that a lot.
That.
Yeah. So instead of me coming and telling you this is what I think you need to do, it's like, no. I always tell my clients, like, you are in the driver's seat. This is your life. I'm just a support system trying to help you get to where you want to be at.
So I have this question for both of you on that front. I think you're right, and I agree with that. Now, let me ask you this. If we become too passive as practitioners, then what's the point? Like, where's the line, right? There is some stuff. There's some stuff that for both of you, people you work with, you might know better, or might be evidence-based, or might be like, hey, right? So here's the, like, for example, in my world, here's what we know, right? The majority of your brain's developed by the time you're 5. There's a way to teach reading. There's in the main, there's an evidence-based way to teach children to read in a time window in which that is best done.
Right.
That's just science. Right? So if we take this, which is an extreme example, right? But if young parent comes to me and goes, well, I don't want to do that.
Right.
What is my responsibility as a practitioner to be like, I don't care. Like, this is how this works, because here's what happens. Here's how the next dominoes fall. Right. Versus this theory of like, okay, right? Because then 8 years later, we're like, what happened? Right. But so I think there's how do you balance that?
I think you're talking about accountability, but I think human nature is that we can't force anybody to do something they don't.
Sure. So how hard do we push? And I want your answer on this too, right? Yeah. Like, how hard are we comfortable saying, hey, listen, here's like you as a professional and as a well-researched person, you know that there's things that work better than other things, right? Yeah. So in the main, I'm sure that you could build an archetype of like, man, I've seen this work, right? This type of person that has sort of done these things typically works pretty well. I've seen this person that does these kind of things typically doesn't work pretty well, right? Now, we all contain multitudes. I understand that. But like, how comfortable are either of you in a space being like, yo, here's how we get to go?
I mean, a lot of times it takes an effort of having real conversation, having real talk. Sometimes I have to take off that professional mask and say, look, real talk, stop the BS. This is what it is.
Sure. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to take it there and kind of see like, okay, so let's weigh out the pros and cons. So what do you think if A equals B, then what do you think if you do this, how is it going to look like? So so you take that mask and you kind of go that way toe to toe, because I think going back to the conversation about, we talk about financial literacy, but it's like we got to meet people where they're really at.
Sure.
And that sometimes is having those tough conversations, whether they want to hear it or they don't want to hear that. But having boundaries at the same time, like, I'm not telling you what to do, but I think this might be beneficial to you.
What do you think?
I think I like the example of like, this is the science. But I think your idea of meeting with people, it's not like I know. Even if you do know best scientifically. Well, we already know this how it works. If you don't do this thing, your kid in 8 years ain't going to be able to read. I think it's more about, okay, why do you feel that way? Okay. You don't think that this is right. I have the science for it, but that doesn't matter what I have the science about, because who cares? Science, we don't believe in science. Who cares? It's like,
we don't believe.
I mean, the science shows global warming.
Yeah, but it's like, what does science mean in a place where science doesn't matter? So I think it's like, okay, great. You don't want to do the option I just now said works typically for everyone.
Sure.
Let's take a step back from that then. Okay, it doesn't work for you. Let's think about why it doesn't work for you, and how we can compromise on a situation where it's not that your kid can't read 5 words, maybe they can read the 3. If we work through a system of helping people in a way that they understand. I think it's about understanding.
Okay.
I think it's about meeting people where they are.
Yes.
You just now gave me 16 science words, and now that's very scary.
Okay.
Because you don't know how I grew up. All them words didn't mean nothing to me either. They don't mean nothing to me. So you talking about my kid, that also doesn't mean nothing to them. So I think help having language that we can both compromise on, for the example you're using, and figuring out a way to understand why we can't get to that place together.
So I think this is all valid, and I think it's really interesting. In a town that is incredibly wealthy, incredibly civically engaged, we have not moved this thing in years.
Like
is it
the needle on poverty
in years?
Yeah,
like my entire lifetime.
My
So
time.
is that part of? Is there a cogent argument to be made that is a piece of that stool, that is a piece of that puzzle? Because there has not been a commitment. We keep just sort of trying a new version of another thing. There hasn't been a commitment to like, hey, here's what we know sort of buckles down from a municipal point of view, from a nonprofit point of view, from a private-public point of view. Is there a version that, and again, a lot of my analogies are about sports, right? Yeah. And just because that's
if
just
you
where
kick the ball.
Well, that's what a lot of my experiences are. And so I've told you this story before that, like, there is a fitness test that you have to run before you step on the field. Not half of it, not some of it, not a little bit of it, all of it. Period.
Yeah.
But we can't even talk.
Until you get there, there's nothing to talk about. Now, the back end of that, which I find interesting, is that we will support you to get there. We will be out there with you every morning at 5 a.m. We will make sure you have all the stuff to get there, but ultimately, we're not going to waver on the outcome, right? And so I think sometimes in this world, we waver on the outcome, and we also waver on the input. We go, well, Chacha, you should be a homeowner. In 2 years, you go, great, you're going to help me? I'm like, oh, no. I'll just check back in with you, but like, you're good, you do your thing.
But home ownership is not just about buying a home. It's also, you got to take care of that.
Sure. Right.
But to your point, I think it also has to be with personal accountability for our leaders in a community that are doing the work.
Yes.
Because we talk about, for instance, let's take the example of athletes. What happens when a kid from the hood makes it? They move out of the community.
Buy their mama house.
They go buy a mansion somewhere. But where is the initiative of actually reinvesting back in that community? Because this is the community that raised you. This is the community that gave you everything that you had. But the moment that a lot of folks make it, they're like, hell no, I'm getting the heck out of here. So it's really about that personal accountability and responsibility for our leaders, for educators, for our community workers to take that initiative, because they always say all politics is local.
Yeah.
The only way that you can effect change is through the power of the ballot. So, and that is why you see this big divide and this big fight right now was happening with, the federal government of restricting voting rights and everything else, because there is power in voting. So if we empower our people, the people that are making it and getting out of the communities, like, come back, reinvest in this community, give back to this community, to the folks that don't have nothing. That's how we change that system from within, by empowering people that look like us to run for public office, by funding them, by building that. That's how we fight the system, because we already know the town is surrounded by a big conglomerate, and we can't fight it if we don't have the money to do that. But we're going to start to tackle that one block, one brick at a time, by effecting change from the lowest level, from the grassroots level, and growing up, until we can start knocking those blocks down.
What's next for the program? If we check back in, what day is it? June 9th, July 9th. We check back in. So it's safe we check back in, next year, right? Yeah. What does it look like for you guys? What are you growing towards? What are you excited about?
So this cohort that we have of FSS has been in existence since spring of 2023.
Okay.
So when I started the program, we had 16 participants. So through the course of 2024, 2025, and now in 2026, we're up to about 50 participants.
Wow.
Our goal is to increase participants. So if you're listening, you're a CRHA resident, or you have a Section 8 voucher, HCV, FSS is available to you, and we're looking to grow, scale up capacity to help more families, to save money, provide resources. Our goal is to get a second coordinator, because right now it's just me. So we want to get more coordinators, and we want to give this to all the families that are eligible to participate in this program. And at the same time, increase our graduate numbers, because I always tell my clients that when you succeed is when I succeed. So I want to see more people graduate. I want to see more people excel and be able to spread the word out. Like, hey, this program is working. Because if you go to big cities like Chicago, Philly, they have close to 10,000 people in these programs.
Wow.
And people are earning an average of, by the time they graduate, an average of 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 in savings that they're able to take and do things with.
Wow.
So our goal maybe a year from now is to get more people to graduate, to support more families, to really empower them and do what they want to do through the program.
How do people link up and find out about it? Where
Website, email?
Yeah. How do they get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me. My email is Mahiri, MAHIRIC @cville.rha.com. Our FSS program number is 434-906-1887. And I can definitely send you my information and you can plug that in the episode as well. Or if you call anyone at CRHA, they're able to, you say you're interested in FSS, they can patch you through or get your information, and I can definitely link up with you. I can come at your work site, meet with you there. We can do a virtual meeting, we can do a telephone call. We're definitely looking to grow and support more families through CRHA's self-sufficiency programs.
You heard it here first or last. Call them up. He gave y'all the number.
There you go. Well, my friend, appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That was excellent.
It's been fun, and it was great talking with you all.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
If you guys have ideas for the show or want to contact us, you can find us on social media on all platforms at United Way Cville or at City of Promise, and drop us a note, Envision at UnitedWayCville.org. Again, that email is, what is it? mahiric@cville.com. RHA.com. Get in touch with him, learn more about this program. We get support on the show from folks like you. If you like what you hear, share it with your friends, colleagues, enemies, strangers. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, wherever you're getting podcasts these days. And the best way to support, consider making a donation, time, talent, treasure to City of Promise, United Way, CRHA, any of our great local nonprofits. This is how we continue to do this work and this show. Big thanks to Jefferson School Foundation, and for Chacha and Marky. Stay warm, stay dry. We will see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.